Rate my landings. Simple as that, really. Roll the intro. You're watching LewDix Aviation, which means you've tuned into the most fun and most informative flying channel on YouTube. My channel is a safe haven for you to find tips, tricks and advice on how to fly and have a great time doing it. Before we fly, I need to tell you that my videos are edited for entertainment purposes only. Many procedures, situations, explanations and flight phases have been edited out, which may remove context, and as such, this video is not an instructional video. Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to the sky. Alright, here we go. 777 centerline Lewis, seals to the floor, full power. This is a soft field takeoff. Yeah. Power's set, nose is up, gauge rolling the green. Wait for this thing to become airborne, get off the runway as quickly as possible, pushing into ground effect. Sitting ground effect for a minute, and we roll. Welcome to the sky. 100 feet above, flaps up. Alright. There is 1,000 feet. We're going to do the climb checklist. Flaps are retracted, engine instruments have been checked, and climb speed VY. Set the power, set the trim, big bang boom, cruise, power set, trim set.
Number 2 off Tango,
line light off, mixture, lean, and flight instruments check. Simple as that, checklist usage. We're flying over to a Popka today from Orlando, and the reason is I need to practice some landings. My landings recently have been horrific by my standards. I hold a high standard for myself as far as anything that I do while I fly, and my landings recently have just been god awful. Lazy is a good word to use for it. Just getting lazy in ground effect, and I'm sick of it. So, like, as a flight instructor, I believe you should do as little flying as humanly possible to allow the student that you're flying with to get the most experience and get the most out of the flying for best bang for the buck. That being the case, you don't, as a flight instructor, get to use your skills as much as you used to. So proficiency is a big thing in aviation. That's why there's a big question on your private pilot check ride, or any check ride really. What's the difference between being current and being proficient? Well, currency is the legal requirement to actually fly the plane with passengers, or, you know, getting current as far as the flight review is concerned. But proficiency is actually being good at it. And in all honesty, I've not been very good at landings recently. So if I've had to, you know, there's been a couple of times where I've been trying to show my student a landing, and it's not been the best landing. I've not really been pleased with my performance, so that's why we're coming up today, and you are going to rate my landings in the comments today. You're going to tell me how good or how bad my landings are. I'm going to rate them as well. I'm going to let you know what I feel about my landings, but I want you in the comments to let me know landing by landing. So the first one was this rating, second one was this rating, so on and so forth. Let me know in the comments. That's going to be a nice little interaction today. One other thing I need to tell you, this video is brought to you by my patrons. I have a Patreon where my members get access to different things, like early access to videos, exclusive content if you're at the Welcome to the Sky tier. You get your name in each description of every video for the lifetime of your membership. If you want to join Patreon and support me and my channel, you can go and do that. The link is in the description. You get all sorts of different perks and stuff. It's pretty cool. We've got a nice little community over there. So go over there and check it out as I go over here and try and check out a Popka. It looks like the landing 1-5. So for those that don't know, Popka is an uncontrolled airport. The runway, I don't really like the runway too much. Runway 33's got like a hump at the beginning of it. It's really ugly. 1-5's not too bad. There is a displaced threshold on 1-5 though. So got to be careful with that. Don't want to touch down too early. We are now 6 miles, and what I'm doing is I'm actually just skirting a little bit this way so we don't encroach on the departure.
Juliet Alpha on final runway 15, Bob traffic.
So that guy was on the base, he's now on the final. So what I'm doing at the moment is building a picture of what's going on by listening to what they're saying. So that's the big thing as a student pilot, you know, to try and build that picture in your head. It's tough to do at first because you don't know what's going on, but the more experience you get, you start listening more. And you start understanding more what other aircraft are doing and kind of the procedures and stuff. So I know he was on base, he's now on final. I've not heard anybody else actually. So so before landing ATSA was yes, we're landing 15. Approach briefing is complete. We're going to be right downwind for runway 15. I can see the runway over there. Seatbelts and harnesses on, mixture, landing light Boom, boom, fuel selector full, flaps as required, carburetor heat.
Taking the active.
Okay, got them in sight, perfect.
Point City traffic, Skycatcher 054.
Parker traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, we're 3 miles to the south now, we're entering a right downwind runway 15 Popka. Right, there's the runway, there's that guy exiting on the crosswind, there's another guy that's taking off, he says he's going to be on a downwind departure, so I've got to be careful here because I don't want him to turn early into me, but here you go, yep, and he's making a very early turnout, and he's there ahead. I don't know if the cameras are going to pick him up, but I got him inside. To be fair to him though, there's plenty of space between us, so. On the Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, right downwind runway 15, touch and go to Popka.
Is that LewDix?
Yes sir.
Big fan.
Thanks brother. So I'm going to try and land between the numbers and the second centerline stripe. So I need to basically aim for the threshold, be power off and flaring over it. So carb heat's on, power's back, we're below 85, 10 degrees of flaps. I like to give it just a little roll of trim down so I can keep that nose down. If there's one thing new students like to do when they're learning how to land, it's just raise that nose like an airliner. You don't come in like an airliner. You come in nose down, in light aircraft. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, right base 15, touch and go to Popka.
Traffic,
20 degrees of flaps, another little roll of trim down to keep that nose down, that's going to help me. And I need to pick out my aiming point, which is going to be in the threshold. The displaced threshold, sorry, I should say. Alright, final is clear. We're turning on to final. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, turning final runway 15 for a touch and go to Popka. Airspeed's dropping just a little bit low. I'm showing high on the pappies, that's fine. I've got my aiming point, I'm looking at my aiming point. So from this point onwards, I want to keep my nose on that aiming point, and I want to use that pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. You're in slow flight, just nose low. Out in the practice area, you use slow flight and do it nose high. You're just doing slow flight, nose low. That's the way that I like to look at it anyway. So I got my eyes on my aiming point, it's going to be the threshold. I don't want to touch down before the displaced threshold. I want to touch down past it, but I got my aiming point, I got my airspeed, about 60 knots. Looking good. Still a little bit high, I could probably afford to drop that in. So here we go, I want to be power off and flaring over the threshold, which there we are. And then you just kind of hold it off, it's between the numbers and the second centerline stripe. So here we go, there's this, just before the second centerline stripe. I'm going to go flaps up, carb heat off, I'm going to go full power. And then we'll talk about that. So I was set, 55, I rotate. Welcome to the sky. I'm interested to hear or see what your ratings are for that. So as far as landing on the point was concerned, I said I wanted to be between the 15 and the second centerline stripe. I nailed that, okay, I got that. That was where I wanted to put it down, that's where I put it down. Now, was it to the upper limit of that at the second centerline stripe? Yes, it was fairly close to that second centerline stripe. What does that tell me? It tells me that I'm asking myself too many questions. It tells me that I could maybe aim a little bit earlier. Touchdown wise, alright, smooth, okay, smooth touchdown, however, I had too much energy. I could have bled it off a little bit more, which goes into power off and flaring maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe my aiming point wasn't quite where it needed to be for that. So for that one, I'm going to give myself a 6. That's my rating for that first one. All things considered, high standards and all. A couple of things that I didn't do quite right. So on this time I'm going to aim to land at the same spot, but my aiming point is going to be a little bit earlier. I'm going to aim the nose a little bit earlier. So here we go.
0, Takeoff Charlie, turning right crosswind, runway 15.
A beautiful day for this, by the way. The winds are calm, so there's really no excuse, to be honest with you. I'm very interested to see how you rate my stuff.
Apopka traffic, 370, Takeoff Charlie. Have a west departure out of Apopka.
Alright, 20 degrees flaps. Popka traffic, Sky 74 Mike Golf, right base, 15, touch and go to Popka. Alright, looking between 70 and 75 knots, we got 70 knots, we're fine, we're looking good. You know, airspeed is king in landings. It really is.
Apopka traffic, twin engine Technam. We're about 5 nautical miles northwest of the airport. We will be joining the downwind at a 45 degree for runway 15, Apopka traffic.
500.
Alright, we're turning final. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, turning final, runway 15, touch and go to Popka. Turning final, I actually probably turned just maybe a touch too soon there, unfortunately, but... Alright, so I am going to aim for the yellow arrows right at the beginning of that displace threshold. That's where I'm going to aim. I need my airspeed, I need my flaps, I need my nose on that point. So my eyes at the moment, if you're wondering, are fixed on the yellow arrows, okay? I'm scanning around, I'm looking at the runway environment, right? Making sure nobody's on the runway, making sure I'm not going to hit anything, making sure I'm not going to hit these power lines here. I know we're fine, I want to be power off and flaring at that point, so here we go. Between 1.5 and the second centerline stripe, I don't want to let this thing touch down early. So here we go, I'm power off and I'm flaring, okay? I'm holding it, my eyes are at the end of the runway, coming down over 1.5. Smooth, touch down, a little bit off centre line, get it back, Lewis. That's better rudder control, please. Flaps up, carpet off, we roll. 55, rotate, don't forget the trim, we're up. Welcome back through the sky. Alright, rate that one, boys and girls. So again, smoothness, absolutely fine. I'm actually really happy with that touchdown. That was a lot better. Now, I need my stall warning going for the landing. Hold on. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, turning right, crosswind 15, touch and go to Popka. I need my stall warning going for these landings. This is telling me that I'm coming in still with a little bit too much energy. I need to bleed it off a little bit more and have that nose higher, get that stall warning blaring for the touchdown. That's what I want. I want to see if I can land closer to the numbers than the second centerline stripe.
Am I leaking anything out the back?
So for that one, I'm going to give myself a 6 again.
Where are you, sir?
And the reason I give myself a 6 is because, again, it floated. I mean, it's a Cessna. Cessna's float. These things are better on water than they are on runways. Yeah, I'm giving myself a 6, and that was because of the centerline control. The rudder control on that landing wasn't where I wanted it to be, so I'm giving myself a 6. I need to clean all that up, and this is what I'm talking about proficiency, you know. Tend to over-focus on one thing, and I tell my students that all the time. And it's easy to say, but doing, you know, what you say is another thing. So I need to clean this up. I want to at least make this an 8.
500.
This has got to be better. So I'm actually going to be power off and flaring just again a little bit before the yellow arrows. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf. Final runway 15, touch and go to Popka.
Popka traffic, twin engine, check them. Entering at a 45 for runway 15 on the downwind. Popka traffic.
Alright, here we go. So my eyes are going to be just a little bit before those yellow arrows as the wind starts to whip it up. Let's have a little bit better energy control here. So my eyes are just a little bit before those yellow arrows. He's over the whole short line. Alright, power off, flaring. Bring it into ground effect and just hold it. Let it float. Let it float. That's better. Better rudder control. Let the nose come down. Carpet, flaps. We're rolling. Much better. 55, rotate. Welcome back to the sky. Much better. Much better. Center line. Smooth.
Traffic 399 Lima Mike.
A little bit closer to the numbers. Still within the specified limit that I give myself. Now again, I didn't have the stall warning blaring. Didn't land flat necessarily, but you know, still didn't have the stall warning, so that tells me again I could probably pull the power a bit sooner than I am doing. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, right crosswind 15, touch and go to Popka. So for that one, I am going to give myself an 8 on that. All my parameters were met apart from having the stall warning going, so I can pull this power a little bit earlier than I am doing. I've always said, like, I don't like Cessna 172s. Compared to a Piper Cherokee, they are unstable in manoeuvres, they float on landing, they just feel, I don't know, I don't like the wing, like I can't see the runway because I'm banking and the wing is in the way. Oh, but on sightseeing flights you can see everything. I don't care, I want to see where I'm going. I've changed my point further back each time, and each time it's still floated. So, Like, I don't know. Someone's going to come in the comments and saying that's pilot. That's a pilot problem, but here we go. Popka traffic, Sky X74 Mike off. Right downwind, runway 15, touch and go to Popka. 10 degrees flaps, we're descending, copy, we're all good, looking good, still there. Okay, so I'm going to pull the power earlier and see if I can touch down closer to the numbers than the second centerline stripe. Guy on final, there's that Technum on final. We'll give them plenty of space because if they're a full stop they're going to want to get off, and there's only one way to get off and that's at the end of the runway, so turn base. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, wing up in the right base, runway 15, touch and go to Popka. Between 70 and 75 knots on a base. You hear me kind of give the same call outs each time. Try and be consistent with that. Said it before, I'll say it again. Airspeed is king. Alright, the Technum's down. Final's clear. A little bit of something going on over here as far as wind is concerned. Alright, I'm too high. Focus, you dickhead. Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, turning final, runway 15 for the Popka, touch and go. That was backwards, that should have been touch and go out of Popka. Always end with where you are. Now that Technum should report clear of the runway.
Popka traffic, twin engine Technum, clear of runway 15, Popka traffic.
Nice, good stuff. Alright, aiming point, 30 degrees flaps. 30 degrees of flaps. 60 to 65, we're at 64, 65 now, so here we go. Aiming point, aiming point, aiming point, and I can pull the power a little bit earlier than I have been doing. Bringing it in, airspeed's getting a little bit low, so now I'm going to have to increase the power a little bit so I can lower the nose and raise the speed. And then once I'm in a better position, which there we go, I'm in a better position, alright, I'm going to slowly start to walk this power back. Walk it back, alright, I'm power idle there, okay. Bring it into ground effect. Oh yeah, this is going to be a lot closer to 15. There's the stall warning, rudder control Lewis.
To the, on Alpha.
55, rotate, welcome back to the sky. Finally, we're 4 landings in and I've finally got the stall warning blaring. Let's rate that one, let me know what you thought about that one. So for me, I wasn't happy with my rudder control on the touchdown again. I was happy with the stall warning blaring, I was happy with the fact that I pulled the power earlier and let it float down to closer to the number. It's still within the specified parameter between the numbers and the second centerline stripe. It's just that rudder control.
10 from the north, and it'll be left downwind.
Touchdown is still smooth. I don't like that rudder control. I don't think I can give myself an 8 on that. I think that's got to be a 7. I think that's got to be a 7. Maybe that's harsh, but that rudder control on the touchdown. Yeah, Popka traffic, Sky 734 Mike off, right downwind runway 15, touch and go to Popka. Alright, so this is going to be number 5. Here we go. Copy, power. Below 85, 10 degrees of flaps. Trim the nose down a little bit. I've got a guy taxiing out. Here we go. Yeah, I think that's got to be a 7. Like, I like the touchdown, I like the stall warning, I just didn't like the rudder control. This is why proficiency is such a big thing. It really is. Not like Popka traffic, Sky 74 Mike Golf, right base 15, touch and go to Popka. This is such a big thing in you know, flying. You're in flight training as a student pilot, always working on landings. Even after flight training, when you're a private pilot, you got your certificate, you're out there. When you get your instrument rating, when you get commercial, when you go ATP, whatever you want to do, you are always going to be working on landings. Always. It's a proficiency thing. If you don't fly for a little bit, or in my case, don't do a lot of landings for a while, you lose proficiency, you lose those skills. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you got to maintain that proficiency. And I feel like, honestly, this flight, even though we're rating landings and it's all fun to make fun of Lewis, like, it's actually helped me greatly, because now I'm landing actually pretty smoothly, which wasn't happening previous to this. So This is why we do it. Okay, focus. Aiming point. My airspeed's too high. Point. I back the power off there. I can raise the nose and bleed off the speed. Here we go. It's dropping into a ground effect here. I can pull the power and let this thing float. We got energy. So there's my aiming point. Eyes are to the end of the runway. I'm just letting the airspeed bleed off. Let it touch down. There we go. Flaps, carpet, 55, rotate. Welcome back to the sky. Okay, let me know what you thought of that one. That was number 5. I'm giving myself a 9. Maybe I'm tooting my own horn a little bit there, but I gave myself a couple of 6s today, so don't begrudge a 9. Yeah, aiming point, into ground effect, pull the power at the right time, bled the energy off, touchdown. I think that was on the numbers. I'll have to replay that after the flight and see if it was on the numbers. It felt and looked like it was on the numbers. And smooth touchdown and centre line. So also stall warning was going on the touchdown. So this, I can't really ask for much more than that, really. I've not been trying to specifically put it on the numbers. I wanted it closer to the numbers than I was doing it, and I've managed to do that. So for me, that's a 9. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to do one more here, and it's going to be a power off 180, and I'm going to try and put it at the same point. Pocket traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, right downwind 15, it's going to be a short approach to a touch and go, and departure southeast, Apopka. Alright, we've done that. Power's out. Alright. Power off 180. If there's anything about energy management, it's this manoeuvre. Okay, so I'm trimming back. I want my best glide speed of 65. Now I don't want to go too far out because I want to make it back in.
Short final for 05, full stop.
Pocket traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf, turning right base, runway 15, touch and go to Apopka. This push to torque is terrible. I'm going to get 10 degrees of flaps in there. I look like I'm a little bit high now. Power off approach, this is a commercial manoeuvre, power off 180. If you put your flaps in way too early, you're running the risk of going too low. So there's nothing saying that this has to be a symmetrical base to final, just you got to make it to the runway right and make it to your point. So I'm kind of angled a little bit towards the runway at the moment. 500. So I can kind of judge this. This is probably one of the biggest things that people fail their commercial check ride on, which is the power off 180. Alright, 20 degrees of flaps. Apopka traffic, Sky 734 Mike Golf base, the final runway 15, touch and go to Apopka. Alright, so bringing it in. I'm going to go 30 degrees of flaps here. I know I've made the runway at this point. I'm a little bit high. I do want to make between the 15 and the second centerline stripe again. I got my airspeed, and here it becomes kind of like a normal approach. I've got my usual airspeed that I would have at this point, and I'm putting it on that aiming point that I've been using. Bring it into ground effect, no power. No power's already out, but you just float it down, hold it off, hold it off. Hold it off, there goes the 15, but we're within the second centerline stripe. Hey, I'm not upset at that. Flaps up, carpet, full power. Hey, 55, rotate. Welcome back to the sky, let's go home. Let's rate that last one. 6th one was the power off 180, which I have not done a power off 180 accuracy approach for a very, very long time. Granted, I was just practicing landing at a certain point before that, just then, which helped me, honestly. I'm going to be honest, I got to give myself a 9 on that power off as well. For the fact that I've not done that in a very long time, for the fact that I made the point that I wanted to between the numbers and the second centerline stripe, and it was smooth, it was centerline, and the stall warning was going on the landing. So I'm giving myself a 9. I'm very interested to see what you give me in the comments. But if you look at it, if you look at that, even though it was a power off 180 approach, you know, I lost the power, it's the energy management and stuff, I was trying to put myself in that same position that I'd put myself in for the previous 5 landings. Aiming point was the same.
540, I'll call your base.
You know, I mean, power was off, but I put myself at my aiming point flaring, airspeed where it should have been, around 60 knots, between 60 and 65, close to 60. And you power off and flaring and you get it down to the point. The power off 180 accuracy approach is a tough one to do because conditions change. You know, you can practice, but then conditions for your check ride might be different. So it is a difficult thing to do. You've got to judge the conditions. Anyway, I'm happy with that. I'm giving myself a 9.
Cessna 734, my Golf Executive Tower. Continue inbound, left base, west of downtown for runway 7.
Alright, continue inbound, left base, west of downtown for runway 7, 734, my Golf. So the whole point of this, again, I know we've had fun making fun of LewDix with a couple of those landings maybe. Maybe someone's giving some 10s, I don't know. We'll have to see. But even though we've had fun, it's been the whole point of this was to come up and get some proficiency. I hadn't been landing very well. I certainly hadn't been landing on the points that I've been wanting to make. So that's why I needed to come up and practice this today.
Citation 1, Juliet Delta contact.
Because I wasn't happy with the way that I was performing. And the only person that's going to change the way that you're performing is you. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. I want to be the best that I can be, and when I'm not, it really pisses me off. This is going to be the last landing of the day. Yeah, we can rate this one as well. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe do it. Well, I'll tell you what. My aim on this one is to get off on taxiway Echo. There's some construction going on at exec at the moment which is causing havoc. If you go past Alpha 6, you have to back taxi on the runway and, well, or make a right turn on Echo 3 and Echo, whatever. I'm rambling. We're going to rate this landing based on getting off on Echo, smooth landing, centre line, stall warning going. Make sure you're following procedures, doing checklists. You can get checklists LewDixAviation.com. You can see it's colourful, easy to follow. Get yours LewDixAviation.com. I love these things. ATC AWOS, yes, we got it. Approach briefing complete. Seatbelts, harnesses on. Mixture going full rich. Landing light, fuel selector is on both. Flaps is required. Carpet is required.
9 Lima Alpha, contact ground point 4G.
Let's see if we can finish strong and get this thing off on Echo. We could, honestly, try and get it off on runway 1331. That's what we're going to try and do. That's the plan this time. Alright. Carpet, power. 85, 10 degrees of flaps.
500.
Wind check, please.
Wind 1506.
Right out. 1506, there's a crosswind from the right side. That makes sense with the way that the nose is going, like my feet are off the rudders, and even though it's bouncing around a little bit, it tends to want to weather it to the right, which tells me there's a crosswind from the right, so that checks out.
Continue inbound into
We've got 20 degrees.
West of downtown for runway 7, 245 Foxtrot Hotel.
We've got 30 degrees at this point. Alright, aiming point, threshold. Aiming point is actually a little bit before the threshold, just where the grass meets the pavement. That's where my aiming point is. I want to make sure that we're smooth, centre line, no side load. I want to try and get off on 1331. Failing that, it'll be Echo, but 1331 is the goal. Alright, airspeed's a bit low. Aiming point please, Lewis. I do look low on the glide slope. I know I'm not going to hit any obstacles. I've got everything in sight. Alright, I want to be power off and flaring at this point so I can get off on 1331. Bringing it in over the runway. There's the stall warning. There's the crosswind controls. Flaps up for soft field, short field technique. And look at that, we're going to make a left turn.
Just for my Golf, left turn 31, short of Alpha, ground point 4.
31 short of Alpha and ground point 4, 74 my Golf. Have a great day.
You too.
Alright, well, that is that. The quest for proficiency is never over, but for now, I feel like I've gone out and done well enough to consider myself proficient. Don't forget, if you missed any of the ratings, go back and watch it and rate the landings for me. Let me know what you think. If you want to become a patron, gain access to exclusive perks, early access to videos, all that sort of stuff, the link is in the description for you.